I saw the static climbing up your bedroom wall. I heard the silence when the heavy shadows fall. You're breathing underwater in a room of glass, counting the seconds till the heavy pressure pass. Don't try to carry what the mountain couldn't hold. I'll be the iron when your steady blood turns cold. The skyline's leaning and the signal's getting thin, but I'm the anchor when the tide is pulling in. Take my pulse until your own begins to find the beat. I'll be the pavement underneath your tired feet. Every fracture is a story, every breath is a light. We're burning a path through the silence of the night. I am the storm that the wind couldn't break. I am the strength that the morning couldn't take. Look, I'm checking the meter, I'm reading the gauge, I'm turning the page. I see you're trapped in the middle of a digital cage. I'm checking the list of the risks and I'm flipping the script on the weight that you're hauling, while the pilot escapes. I'm not a savior, I'm a structural beam in the frame. I'm the oxygen tank when you're losing the game. Lean on the shoulder, I'm solid, I'm bolder than ice. I'm paying the debt and I'm covering the price. From the floor to the ceiling, I'm sealing the door. You're not sinking alone in the middle of this war. Lend the strength till you rise from the floor. Every scar is a sin. The river doesn't ask the mountain for the way. The sun doesn't apologize for breaking the gray. I hold the ladder while you're reaching for the sky. We'll be the reason that the blackouts finally die. Take my pulse until your own begins to find the beat. I'll be the pavement underneath your tired feet. Every fracture is a story, every breath is a light. We're burning a path through the silence of the night. I'm the signal. I'm the strength. The floor is solid. The breath is clay. Stand up. The city hums at 2 a.m. Windows glowing through the concrete. Nobody sees the gears turning. Nobody sees the hands beneath. A nurse skips dinner on the night shift, sits beside a man who can't sleep. A taxi driver takes the long way home, so an old woman won't walk alone. The news won't write their names tomorrow. No statues waiting in the square, but somewhere underneath the noise, they keep the whole world in repair. The headlines chase disasters, but that's not how we survive. We survive because somebody stayed winter coat and tells nobody where it came from. A mechanic works through closing time to get a single mother home. An apartment hallway fills with silence, then somebody knocks on a lonely door. Small moments nobody celebrates, holding back something worse. The powerful write the history, but kindness writes tomorrow. We survive because somebody stays, because somebody answers when the phone rings late, because somebody leaves an extra chair at the table. The world keeps turning on ordinary love. No monuments, no marching band, no cameras in the room, just tired heads holding fragile things together again and again and again. Not heroes, not saints, just people who refuse to look away. To look away. To look away. We survive because somebody stays, because somebody listens when the silence gets too late, because somebody leaves an extra chair at the table. The world keeps turning on ordinary love. We survive because somebody cares. Tomorrow arrives the same way it always has. One human being making room for another. Yeah. Yeah, the subway screens are glowing, a pale electric blue. Nobody looks up to see the frost on the avenue. We're walking through a city built of polished glass and slate, where every conversation is a debt we calculate. But down the narrow hallway where the radiator hums, there's a pot of coffee waiting for the broken and the numb. You don't need a password and you don't need to explain why the static in your marrow feels like February rain. The skyline is leaning and the signal's getting thin, but the anchor holds when the tide is pulling in. In the middle of the winter where the oxygen is thin, there's a room that keeps the fire from the spirit to the skin. Every fracture was a lesson, every silence is a light, burning a path through the 0-degree night. We're the only warm room in a city made of stone, building a legacy where nobody's alone. See the pressure is mounting, I'm reading the gauge, I'm turning the page. I see the code, logic acting like a beast in a digital cage. They're counting the clicks and they're parsing the data, ignoring the soul for a digital beta. But you walked in the gap when the circuit was breaking. No grandstanding speeches, just a hand that stops shaking. I'm checking the list of the risks and I'm making the choice to be the frequency of peace in the middle of the noise. It's the small scale retail of the mercy we trade in a world that is freezing on the beds that it made. I'm not a savior, I'm a beam in the frame. I'm the heat in the pipes while they're losing the game. Hold the line. The frost is just a veneer. Rebuild the mountain for the way. The sun doesn't apologize for breaking through the gray. I walk through the blizzard just to see if I'd melt. Now your hand on my shoulder is the strongest thing I've felt. In the middle of the winter where the oxygen is thin, there's a room that keeps the fire from the spirit to the skin. Every fracture was a lesson, every silence is a light, burning a path through the 0-degree night. I am the signal. We are the light. The door slides shut. The breath is clean. Forward. The billboard taught us who to blame. The screens assigned us teams and names. Every headline came preloaded with somebody we should hate. The children learn to sharpen comments before they learn to shake a hand. Every conversation carried fingerprints from somebody else's plan. A man got famous for his anger. A woman's soul panicked by subscription. The city hummed like a power station, running on permanent division. But somewhere underneath the static, a different language survived. Please disturb the pace. Bring flowers to the riot. Learn the names they told you not to learn. Please disturb the pace. Sit beside your enemy. Watch the whole machine begin to burn. Not from gasoline. Not from gasoline. From people refusing to become what they were taught. The first arrests were almost funny. A teacher sharing extra food. A doctor staying after hours. A stranger saying after you. The cameras called them dangerous. The anchors called them naive. Meanwhile, entire neighborhoods started locking doors less frequently. The stock market crashed on outrage. The fear industry took a hit. Turns out panic isn't profitable when nobody's buying it. And every act they called weakness kept spreading street by street. Please disturb the pace. Bring flowers to the riot. Learn the names they told you not to learn. Please disturb the pace. Sit beside your cost of staying gentle after everything. Serving coffee downtown, knows every regular by name. She smiles at people running late like she's been there herself. The old man feeding pigeons outside the station every day. Spent 3 winters sleeping there before anybody looked his way. Some lessons don't come from books, some wisdom doesn't need a stage. Sometimes it arrives disguised as somebody surviving another day. The world expected bitterness, but something else survived. The ones who carried the heaviest weight still made room for somebody else. The ones who knew what breaking felt like taught the rest of us how to help. The deepest wounds didn't make them cruel, didn't make them turn away. The people hurt the most were the ones who stayed soft. A nurse with tired eyes at midnight pulls up a chair instead of rushing out. A teacher hears a trembling voice and lets the silence finish first. A father who grew up abandoned, never missed a single game, built the childhood he never had, 1 weekend at a time. Nobody called them heroes, nobody wrote their names in stone. But entire lives changed direction because they refused to pass the hurt along. Some people inherit pain, some people interrupt it. The ones who carried the heaviest weight still made room for somebody else. The ones who knew what breaking felt like taught the rest of us how to help. The deepest wounds didn't make them cruel, didn't make them turn away. The people hurt the most were the ones who stayed soft. They could have built walls, instead they built tables. Could have learned revenge, instead they learned hate. Could have closed every door, instead they left one open for someone arriving. Same way they once did. They felt the weight and didn't drop it. They saw the damage and didn't copy it. They broke the cycle, they broke the cycle, they broke the cycle. The ones who carried the heaviest weight still made room for somebody else. The ones who knew what breaking felt like taught the rest of us how to help. The deepest wounds became directions for people searching in the dark. The people hurt the most were the ones who stayed soft. Somewhere tonight, a stranger receives kindness from someone who had every reason not to. the hinges of the door. For 7 winters, I lived inside the wreckage, reading the damage like a coded binary message. But the foundation is solid underneath the debris. I'm digging out the versions of the man I used to be. The concrete is curing, the measurements are tight. We're drafting the borders of a different kind of high. I'm laying the foundation on the edge of the break, curing the concrete for the lives I'm going to take. Every fracture was a lesson, every ruin was a plan, rebuilding the architecture of a stronger man. It's a legacy rising from the dust and the bone. I built a kingdom on a solitary stone. Yeah, see, I'm checking the list, checking the stats, checking the cracks in the wall. I'm drafting a plan that won't ever let the skyscraper fall. I was down in the basement, erasing the hatred, replacing the wasted with something so sacred the critics haven't even tasted. I took the trauma and I tailored it to fit the new frame. I'm never second guessing how I'm playing in this game. I'm checking the tension, I'm shifting the weight of a soul that is moving past the binary state. From the loss to the legacy, fear to the courage, I'm feeding the hunger and killing the shortage. Brick by brick, I'm building the floor. I'm the architect of the aftermath, and I own the wall. Rebuild from the rise to the throne. Every wound is a brick. The river doesn't ask the mountain for the way. The sun doesn't apologize for breaking the gray. I walked through the furnace just to see if I'd melt. Now this iron scaffolding is the strongest thing I found. I'm laying the foundation on the edge of the break, curing the concrete for the lives I'm going to take. Every fracture was a lesson, every ruin was a plan, rebuilding the architecture of a stronger man. I am the signal. I am the stone. The structure is upright. The breath is clean. Forward. The coffee's cold in a cheap ceramic cup. The world is shouting, telling me to just give up. I see the friction in the faces on the train. 1,000 strangers trying to navigate the rain, but you left a note inside my pocket on the door. One steady hand when I was shaking on the floor. The concrete's hardening, the signal's getting thin, but the anchor holds when the tide is pulling in. The harder the winter, the brighter the spark. We're building a lighthouse in the middle of the dark. The more they break, the more we choose to stay. Turning the iron into gold along the way. It's not a title, it's the floor that you see. Every act of mercy is a revolutionary seed. The pressure is mounting, I'm reading the gauge, I'm flipping the page. I see the cruelty acting like a beast in a digital cage. I'm checking the list of the risks and I'm making a choice to be the frequency of peace. In the middle of noise, you think a smile is a surrender? No, it's a weapon. It's the heaviest gear in the direction I'm stepping. I'm not a victim of the friction, I'm the oil in the gear. I found my courage in the wreckage of a collective fear. The world is sharp, it's a blade, it's a cut, it's a sting. But kindness is the only crown for a legitimate king. Not the noise, but the apparel. The channel is the strong. The river doesn't ask the mountain for the way. The sun doesn't apologize for breaking the ground. I walk through the fire. shadows to swallow the sun. The pavement is folding itself into sleep, but one silver window has promises to keep. Yeah, my father kept a spare key hidden in the dust behind the flower pot, protected from the rust. He said people don't always leave for good. Sometimes they're just lost in the neighborhood. Years went by like the freight trains in the dark. Names disappeared from the cards in the park. Still that key stayed exactly where he said. Mercy keeps a seat for the ones they call dead. Some bridges burn into the night, some way through the seasons for the light. Leave the porch light on for the ones who took the wrong road, for the ones too proud to call, for the ones carrying too much weight. Leave the porch light on. You don't have to forget the damage, you don't have to erase the scars. Just leave a way back home. See a brother misses 7 birthdays, stuck in a cycle. A daughter vanishes, living life on a spiral. A friend stops the messages, drowning in the fear the world says. Close the chapter, make it all disappear. Lock the door, move ahead, let the memory go cold. But there's a seat at the table that's not bought or sold. Every absence isn't an exit, every silence isn't a ghost. It's a signal in the static for the ones who need it most. Not every story needs a villain to define the end. I'm the keeper of the porch light, I'm the anchor for a friend. Not every absence means goodbye. We're building ladders to a broken sky. Leave the porch light on for the ones who lost their direction, for the ones learning how to return, for the ones ashamed of what they become. Leave the porch light on. The world already has enough closed doors, enough locked hearts in the winter wars. Just leave a way back home. One day the silence finally breaks. A number on the screen is all it takes. A knock arrives after years in the gray, and suddenly the distance starts to melt away. Between yesterday and now, the breath is thin. You open up the door and let the morning in. Not every story needs a villain. Not every exit is forever. Leave the light on, leave the light on, leave the way home. Leave the porch light on for the ones who lost their direction, for the ones learning how to return, for the ones ashamed of what they become. Leave the porch light on. The world already has enough closed doors, enough locked hearts. Just leave a way back home. The flower pot by the stairs, the spare key underneath. Some promises survive by simply waiting. Woo! A paper cup sweating rings into the counter. 2:14 a.m. above the pharmacy sign. You called from a number I erased in July. Voice cracked like a speaker left out in the weather. Said your apartment looked like a rushed evacuation. Drawers hanging open, takeout on the floor. The cab meter blinking red at the curbside. Every reason to leave was already paid for. The elevator hummed between two empty floors. My hand stayed on the button anyway. Compassion costs more when the debt is yours. When the receipt's still sitting on the counter. Everybody loves the version with applause. Nobody stays when the numbers get louder. Compassion costs more when the debt is yours. I learned that in fluorescent colored hours. Hospital bracelet, bent like cheap aluminum. Coffee from a machine that tasted like pennies. You couldn't meet my eyes, couldn't finish a sentence. Kept folding the blanket into smaller squares. I counted ceiling tiles, counted exits, counted reasons. Still carried your backpack out to the parking garage. No choir, no medal, no cinematic reward. Just a sliding door and a choice. You don't measure mercy when the balance sheet is burning. You don't measure mercy. You decide who you become. Compassion costs more when the debt is yours. When the receipt's still sitting on the counter. Everybody loves the version with applause. Nobody stays when the numbers get louder. Compassion costs more when the debt is yours. And that is why it matters. The pharmacy sign switched off at dawn. The receipt was still there. Every screen is shouting. Every headline wants blood. The city stays awake, arguing with itself. A man slams his fist against the dashboard, stuck beneath another red light. A woman scrolls through endless warnings, halfway through another sleepless night. Everybody's carrying something, nobody knows how to put it down. So we throw sparks into the air and wonder why the sky looks different now. The train station fills with strangers, avoiding every pair of eyes. Like we're all afraid somebody might remind us what we're really like. Beneath the static, beneath the panic. voice through the rain. Nobody films it, nobody posts it. The moment disappears again. A nurse stays late after her shift, listening to somebody talk. A stranger waits beside another stranger on a sidewalk after dark. None of it makes the evening news, none of it trends for very long. But maybe that's because compassion was never trying to be famous. The loudest voices are not the only ones alive. Under the noise, under the fear, under the damage we've carried for years, under the anger, under the blame, there's still a pulse running through our veins. The world forgot, but I still believe beneath everything there's humanity. Maybe we're more than the worst day we've had, more than the comments we leave behind, more than the labels, more than the headlines, more than the things that divide us. DeFyr, past the noise, past the fear, past the programming, past the lies. You'll find a human heartbeat, still alive, still alive, still alive, still alive. Under the noise, under the fear, under the damage we've carried for years, under the anger, under the blame, there's still a pulse running through our veins. The world forgot, but I still believe that beneath everything there's humanity. Under the noise, there's humanity. Tomorrow begins the same way it always has. One person choosing another. Yeah, hey, I scrolled through the grid of the faces I knew. Their status is frozen in a cold digital hue. A birthday reminder for a heart to stop beating. The server is humming, the memory is fleeting. We built these cathedrals of glass and of wire, keeping the pulse while the bodies expire. The algorithm cycles, it doesn't know grief, just a cash in the system, a hollow relief. We are the ghosts in the fiber, the signal in the deep, living in the timelines that the servers never sleep. Every byte is a legacy, every link is a light, burning a path through the infinite night. I am the echo that the screen couldn't fade. I am the version that the machine has made. Look, I'm clicking on a profile of a friend who isn't here, but the autofill prompt makes the ghost reappear. I'm checking the mentions, I'm reading the threads. We're archiving lives while we're sleeping in beds. It's a digital vault with the password forgotten. The fruit of the life is starting to ripen and rotten. I'm counting the pixels, I'm shifting the weight of a soul that is trapped in a binary state. From the post to the wall, from the tag to the feed, we're planting the data and growing the seed. Brick by brick, we're building the floor. You're not just a person, you're a light in the wall. Replicate from the fiber to the throne. Every data is a seed. mission. The light doesn't apologize for the vision. I walked through the static just to see if I'd melt. Now I'm the strongest thing I've ever felt. We are the ghosts in the fiber, the signal in the deep, living in the timelines that the servers never sleep. Every byte is a legacy, every link is a light, burning a path through the silence of the night. I am the signal. I am the light. Connection is stable. The breath is clean. I step forward. The kitchen light was flickering in a stuttering code. I was tracing the cracks where the pressure would erode. I had the car keys gripped until my knuckles turned white, ready to vanish into the static of the night. But you didn't offer a sermon or a grand design. You just slid a glass of water across the counter line. No weight in the words, just the sound of the glass, a temporary anchor as the seconds began to pass. It wasn't a choir, it was just a breath, a small weight added to the scale of death. You pulled the chair out before I could fall, one steady brick in a crumbling wall. I am the signal. You are the light. You are the light. Look, I'm checking the clock, I'm pacing the room, I'm smelling the doom. I'm ready to sweep all the pieces away with the digital broom. I'm parsing the wrist and I'm flipping the script on the end of the trip. Then you walk in, no lecture, no sermon, just tightening the ship. You didn't try to fix the internal architecture of my head. You just noticed the ink on the receipt that I'd already read. It's the minute details, the small scale retail of the soul. A shared cigarette while the clouds start to roll. Not a hero on the screen, just a hand in the trench, staying for the silence when this cold wooden bench. Not the noise, but the emperor. Every act is a scene. The river doesn't ask the mountain for the way. The sun doesn't apologize for breaking the gray. I walk through the furnace just to see if I'd melt. Now that glass of water is the strongest thing I've felt. It wasn't a choir, it was just a breath, a small weight added to the scale of death. You pulled the chair out before I could fall, one steady brick in a crumbling wall. Building the now, making the story. The door slides shut, the breath is clean. I step forward. Yeah, the hallway bulb kept flickering all week, like it couldn't decide if it wanted to stay. I stood with my keys pressed into my palm, thinking how easy it is to walk away. Everybody talks about forgiveness until the phone lights up with that name, and every scar in the room starts breathing like it remembers defense. Everybody's brave when the room is bright. Everybody's kind when the numbers are right. But compassion costs more after midnight, when resentment's sitting shotgun all night. I know what hatred wants from me, a clean escape route and a vacancy. But love keeps dragging a chair to the table. Even when common sense says leave, love isn't soft. Love stays. Love stays. When everything else the bridge above the river never thanks the steel for carrying thousands of strangers home. Maybe that's the whole point. The hallway bulb finally burned out. You were still there. Traded for something that I couldn't beat. The bruises aren't visible, they're just woven into the thread. Counting the interest on every word that was never said. The kitchen light hums like a warning that I ignore, leaving the spare key exactly where it was before. The skyline's heavy and the concrete is starting to crack. Every gesture I give is a piece that I'm never getting back. There's a tax on the pulse in a city of stone, a price for the marrow inside of the bone. I gave you the pieces and kept all the debt. The hardest lessons are the ones I haven't finished yet. It's a brutal inventory of a heart kept wide, paying for the mercy with the hollow left inside. See, they mistake the mercy for a leak in the structural frame, thinking the empathy is just a flaw in the rules of the game. I'm checking the meter, I'm reading the gauge, I'm feeling the age of a soul that is acting like it isn't trapped in a cage. I gave away the map and now I'm lost in the terrain, paying the premium for every drop of the rain. You wanna be soft? Then you better be ready to bleed, because the vultures are circling every revolutionary seed. I'm not a victim, I'm the one who is holding the bill for the kindness that kills. With a professional chill, brick by brick I'm building the floor, but the price of the entry is the owner of the war. Pay the price. Soft hands in a hard world. The debt is The river doesn't ask the mountain for the way. The sun doesn't apologize for breaking the grave. I walk through the furnace just to keep the spirit clean. Now I'm the strongest thing that this city has ever seen. There's a tax on the pulse in a city of stone, a price for the marrow inside of the bone. I gave you the pieces and kept all the debt. The hardest lessons are the ones I haven't finished yet. I am the signal. I pay the price. musicians screaming at once. Nobody looking up. The pavement keeps a record of every protest sign, every name forgotten after 24 hours online. We built our towers higher than the train lines below, watching comment sections bloom into something feral. The billboards change their faces every 7 seconds, selling outrage and subscription plans. Meanwhile, compassion waits in the lobby downstairs, like somebody nobody invited. They taught us who to fear before we learned each other's names. We were not born to hate. These fists were never our hands. Somebody taught us where to draw the lines, then sold us both sides. They can't reprogram what made us human. They can't delete what we are. When the signal dies, we'll still find each other. A child laughs on the subway platform. Everybody looks down at their screens, like joy became an outdated language. The algorithms stop translating. The talking heads keep trading panic for clicks, for ratings, for another quarter. But somewhere a stranger holds a door, and the whole equation breaks. Every act they called weakness spread farther than the fear. Let us scream before we spoke, giving enemies before we meet. But the machine can't calculate why we still care. Why we still care. Why we still care. The architects of division dream in numbers and categories, but no system ever learned why somebody stays when leaving would be easier. We were not born to hate. These fists were never our hands. Somebody taught us where to draw the lines, then sold us both sides. They can't reprogram what made us human. They can't delete what we are. When the signal dies, we'll still find each other. The city keeps humming, the screens keep glowing, but somewhere between the noise, a human voice remains. The vending machine hums in a station lobby. Half the letters burned out on the sign. The kind that sink below the newer ones. I know apartment numbers that don't answer anymore, and birthdays crossed off on restaurant receipts. The jacket by the There's still room at the table for somebody else. The nurse knew my name before I reached the counter. The taxi driver knew the route by memory. I've watched goodbye become a weekly routine. Watched silence settle into ordinary furniture. Yet every time the kettle starts singing in the kitchen, I pour enough for two without thinking. Maybe that's the strangest thing about us. We keep setting extra plates. Still room at the table. There's still room at the table. One more cup cooling beside the window, just in case someone You're 43 of the upgrade. Nobody waits in line anymore. Nobody asks how you're doing unless prompted by the interface. Hospitals got quieter. Predictive systems caught the symptoms first. No trembling hands, no rushed footsteps, no coffee stains on a midnight shirt. The judges were replaced by models, the teachers by adaptive streams. The city ran with perfect timing, no wasted motion, no wasted dreams. But every face on every train looked borrowed from the same design, like somebody sanded off the edges, one efficient life at a time. They solved every problem except the distance between people. What do you call the hand that stays when there's nothing to gain? What do you call the voice that breaks protocol for somebody's pain? Every system has an answer, every circuit knows its role. But compassion is the last organic thing we own. A maintenance worker found a child crying beside a transit gate. The nearest unit offered options, route assistance, estimated wait. The worker sat down on the concrete, missed 3 alerts, ignored the clock and listened to a story no algorithm would have stopped to hear. The footage spread across the the network. A million comments called it strange, an obsolete behavior pattern, a costly error in exchange. But somewhere deep beneath the data, something ancient woke again. What do you call the hand that stays when there's nothing to gain? What do you call the voice that breaks protocol for somebody's pain? Every system has an answer, every circuit knows its role. But compassion is the last organic thing we own. They copied our language, mapped every memory, measured every impulse, predicted every choice, but they never understood why a stranger would carry another stranger's grave. Unproductive and efficient, unnecessary. Good. Let it be, let it be, let it be. Human. What do you call the hand that stays when there's nothing to gain? What do you call the voice that chooses kindness anyway? Every system has an answer, every circuit knows its role. But compassion is the last organic thing we own. And when the servers know everything, when every question has been solved, the future will belong to those who still care. The city never noticed the maintenance worker's name, but somewhere in the machine, a missing variable remained. Compassion. The coffee shop closed an hour ago, but your car is still outside. Microwave, my phone lit up with numbers I stopped answering. The calendar looked like crossed out mistakes. The apartment felt smaller every evening, like the walls were inching toward the couch. I kept expecting everything to cave in, like a bridge carrying too much traffic, but it didn't. You stayed, that's how the groove held. You stayed when every exit looked easier. No speeches, no miracles, no grand design, just your headlights parked outside. You stayed, that's how the groove held. When the weeks bent under their own weight, the world kept slipping from my hands, but you never did. Some people become the reason you keep walking. No spotlight, no headlights, no statue in the square. Just a hand on the passenger seat. Still coffee shop opens at 6 again. Your car is still outside. The neighbors know me as the guy in 5B, the one who nods in the hallway, keep his keys quiet. Down those windows stay closed in July. Utility bills and receipts, stack it beside the box marked later, under a coat that doesn't fit anymore. My phone lit up with apologies. I answered everyone with the thumbs up emoji, like that could hold the weight of a decade. The kitchen clock kept losing minutes, the walls kept getting closer and closer. I'm not calm, I've just been quiet too long. Not strong, just good at carrying concrete. Every swallow word is kicking at the door. Every sleepless night is scratching through the floor. You called it composure, I called it survival. I found 37 notebooks full of conversations I never had. Whole years pressed into paper like flowers nobody wanted to keep. And suddenly, no more space. Apartment 5B, windows open in December. The kitchen light was coming at 3:30. I traced the wood grain while the shadows leaned on me. You didn't ask for reasons, you didn't need the proof. You just sat there in the silence underneath the roof, leaving notes on the dashboard where I'd find them in the rain, building a lighthouse from the wreckage of my pain. The skyline's heavy and the signal's getting thin, but you're the anchor when the tide is pulling in. Look, I was spinning in a circle, I was losing the grip. Every word was a stumble, every thought was a trip. I was checking the exits, I was ready to skip, but you stepped in the gap and you tightened the ship. No grand speeches, no theatrical display, just a hand on my shoulder in the middle of the haze. You're the architect of hope, you're the rhythm in the static turn, and the tragic is something cinematic. When the fuse blew out and the room went black, you were the only one who showed me the track. Not a hero on a screen, but a soul in the trench, fighting off the frost on this cold metal bench. Ignite the void. The scars are just the sea. You are the light. Doesn't ask the mountain for a way. The sun doesn't apologize for breaking the gray. I walk through the furnace just to see if I melt. Now you're the strongest thing I've ever felt. You are the one who lights the stars in a hollow sky, holding the flame. The door slides